So, I mean, to use some cricketing parlance here, Scott Morrison has faced a bit of chin music overseas on this deal. The French president has accused him of being a liar, and that was after Joe Biden threw him under the bus on the weekend too. How are we looking on the world stage?
That's a great question, because we all know perception is reality. And I'm telling you, globally, the perception is that Australia has seriously mishandled this nuclear-powered submarine deal with the US. And to pick up on what the Prime Minister just said, I mean, look, we come off appearing as bellicose because it's one thing to say, I'm always going to make decisions in Australia's national interest. Well, everyone knows that. Other world leaders know that. They would not expect Prime Minister Morrison to do anything other than that. However, there's a difference between making a decision in your own national strategic interests and failing to be transparent about it with a strategic ally. Because when you peel all of this away, it's very clear that the French recurring complaint is not necessarily about Australia's pivot to nuclear-propelled submarines from the United States. It's the fact that they weren't in the loop. And the Prime Minister, has said that, he kept the Americans in the loop throughout, and that's why he was surprised by US President Joe Biden's remarks. Well, it's one thing to tell the Americans, it's another thing to tell the French, which it appears we didn't do. And in earlier remarks, the Prime Minister has repeatedly said, look, I told the French that a conventional submarine is not going to meet our strategic interests and that we were going to have to make a decision. Well, saying that is not saying, look, we're tearing up the deal and we're going with the Americans. How are we going to manage that? And so around the world, Australia is being viewed very poorly for our poor handling of these relationships.
Let's go to G20 now, Michael. I mean, it seems to have... I mean, there's a lot of people who are suggesting now what's the point of it all, because Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, they're not going to be at G20. They are not going to be at COP26. And they are not going to be making any, not even close to any kind of 2050 target. And even the language, as I note, has already been watered down to placate India and China when it comes to net zero emissions. So are people going to rightly ask, what's the point of all of this?
Yeah, they will. But I mean, in one sense, the answer is something's better than nothing, or do as much as you can, despite the stakes that you're up against. And, you'd have to think that this denuded G20 summit is at least that. It's something. But, the absence of the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, and the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, they're telling, the Russian leader said that he's not going because of concerns for COVID. The Chinese leader has not left China in almost 2 years since COVID began. So what is that telling us about these leaders and their fears about the nature of the pandemic? But also, it's curious because look at Russia, for example. Right now, there's great fears that they're massing more troops on Ukraine's border. There's also the appearance that they've reversed a gas pipeline, in a sense, starving Europe of some gas supplies right when it's needed as winter is coming. And also, Russia is a major polluter, particularly of methane. As we know, are the Chinese major polluters, and they've just had that groundbreaking missile test, and they're doubling down on coal or tripling down on coal right now. So also, these countries would not have wanted to go to these summits just to get beaten up over climate or their lack of action on climate. So look, their absences are telling in many, many ways and make this entire situation much more frighteningly precarious.
All right, Michael Ware, we'll chat again soon.